Security changes are coming to the Alair Center. I'm Kelsey McMahon, and I'll tell you what's not allowed at upcoming events. A sentencing for a high-speed chase ending in an officer-involved shooting. I'm Kelsey McMahon, and I'll have the details from inside the courtroom. And I'm Kelsey McMahon, live at Applebee's. We'll tell you how much cash the Grand Forks Police Department raised for Special Olympics and how the Sheriff's Department is trying to give them a run for their money. Matt Stacy, there's typical Halloween decorating, maybe carving a pumpkin or two and placing them outside your door. And then there's this. Some residents transform their homes into spooky scenes. Now, Churches Ferry's population has gone from over 100 people to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people. Trainers tell me they use positive reinforcement and clicker training to teach dogs new tricks. They also tell me the clicking sound is universal. It can be used to train any animal, from dogs to dolphins to even chickens. There's a list of items banned at the Alair Center for arena events, including cameras and selfie sticks. Now I'm here live with Deb, the first person in line. So tell us what you're doing here right now.
Well, I'm just trying to do something a little crazy because I can. I'm an empty nester and I have the time, and hey, get coffee and a bagel free for a year.
And it's supposed to be kind of cold tonight. What's your plan for camping out?
I brought blankets, dressed warmly. I put a plea out to my friends, please come visit me and bring food, hot drinks. Yeah, that's my plan. And an iPad.
And an iPad. So about 52 bagels, 52 cups of coffee. That's about $250 in savings. Why is it worth it to you?
Oh, you do crazy things when you get old. That's just why, that's all.
And the big question, do you have a favorite kind of coffee and bagel?
I do not. I probably maybe a plain bagel, and coffee would have to have a lot of cream in it. Yeah.
Well, thank you for your time, Deb. Again, it opens tomorrow at 5 a.m., but there will be a ribbon cutting at 4:55 in the morning. Reporting live, I'm Kelsey McMahon, WDAZ News.
Go ahead. Whether it's a huge city or small city, the same calls happen everywhere.
Can you go to Walmart, 2551 32nd Avenue South.
Last month, officers in Grand Forks responded to more than 3,500 calls. While trends change, two types of calls are the most consistent.
Domestic violence calls for service and assaults.
In April, the top 3 calls were for traffic stops, suspicious activity and welfare checks, and security checks. Looking back a little further, the first quarter of 2016, January through March, had nearly 500 more calls than the same time period last year. Again, most were for property accidents and traffic stops.
If we take the first quarter of 2015 and compare that with the first quarter of 2016, we saw a pretty significant increase in calls for service in 2016.
While officers are getting robbery, drug arrest, and fraud calls, not all calls are bad. In fact, community policing is on the rise. In the first quarter of 2015, officers completed 26 community policing stops. This year, the department is already nearing the 200 mark, thanks in part to police spending more time in the community.
We're encouraging our officers to get out on foot patrol and interact with the community. You can get a much better handle on the community if you're actually engaging them.
663 PD2.
The calls are coming in around the clock from right here at the Grand Forks 911 Center.
While they're giving me the information, they're entering it in our computer system. So with our system nowadays, we don't have to get the pen and paper out and write stuff down.
Trevor, 1244. We're getting the description of the people so that when the officers are responding, as they're responding, they're getting that information. So they have that visual. We're painting the picture for the responders out in the car.
Just last year, the 911 Center dispatched more than 74,000 calls for 33 agencies in Grand Forks County. With the volume of calls throughout the community, it may seem like there are dozens of officers patrolling the city.
There's a common myth that we might have 20 or 30 officers on the street during the daytime hours.
In reality, the highest number per shift, 10 officers. Most of the time, however, just 6 are on duty patrolling the city of 55,000 people.
At nighttime, when it's a little bit busier, we have 2 shifts that are working that overlap during the busier hours. So we'll have typically double that number of officers.
From the police department to dispatch to officers in the field, one team working together to answer the call, whatever it may be. In Grand Forks, Kelsey McMahon, WDAZ News. Coffee cake may be a simple recipe for some, but for Trista Schraga, it's a process that takes hours of planning and prep work, starting at the store.
Time-consuming. I am never at the grocery store for less than an hour unless I'm getting just like bananas and milk or something.
Schraga says 2 of her 3 children were born with food allergies, forcing them to avoid all peanuts, tree nuts, wheat, and eggs.
A food allergy can cause hives, trouble breathing, drop in blood pressure. It can kill a person if they're not treated right away or avoid that food protein.
After years, the family has come up with home and school routines when it comes to food, but going out to eat poses a problem.
It scares me because I don't always know the kitchen. I mean, I let them know and I tell them about the allergies and they can say, yeah, we understand and we'll do it, but they don't always know. They don't always fully understand, and so it's a risk.
Schraga says learning to shop and cook for food allergies was a learning process. She uses separate counters, containers, and substitutes when preparing meals for her kids.
I've had a lot of flops in my kitchen where it's not that edible, but now I have a few go-to recipes that I use. I've got muffins and coffee cake and bread and pancakes, and I have kind of recipe. My cabinets, when you open my cabinets, they're taped inside with recipes everywhere.
Schraga isn't alone in her process. 1 in 13 kids has a food allergy. The Grand Forks Food Allergy Network is aiming to bring awareness to the community.
Families who are living with food allergies can come and share and learn from one another.
There are still those naysayers that say, oh, your kid's just picky, oh, you're a helicopter parent, oh, you need to live a little. Are you sure you can't just give them a little bit and they'll be okay? And no, it's not that way.
In East Grand Forks, Kelsey McMahon, WDAZ News.